The John Lebang Show has been known to make people laugh, sing, think, scream, throw things in rage, and generally lose their minds. Listener discretion is advised. Earthlings, and alert the media. This week's second hour of the John Lebang Show is headed your way. Thank you for joining us for this second hour in this week's broadcasting. As we've covered a whole lot of topics in the first hour, usually here in the second hour we attempt to be more of a variety show, not to stay on just the news or have commentary on certain things. We do fit in occasional guests during this hour, and we do comedy routines and bits, and we talk about different things. We have a few news bits we do have to get to here as they carry over from the first hour a little bit. But I just realized that we're just a week away from the 250th episode of the John Lebang Show. 250 hours of broadcasting. It's amazing because I've been going at it solidly for a little over 3 years now. 5 years in total. If you count the YouTube stuff, it goes even further back. And next week we are reaching 250. I mean, I have to pause every once in a while to think, wow, I mean, we've done so much, and I can't even fathom sometimes how much stuff we have covered throughout the years and how things have changed and how some things have stayed the same. But we're going to get to a lot of the past and the future, some of your calls, as we're hoping that you, the listener out there, will participate in the 250th episode. And a way to guarantee that you can participate in that episode is to record on your phone a little phone message for the John Lebang Show. Just in case we can't get you on the open lines, I want you to go ahead and call, or make a message, I should say. We want you to make a message on your smartphone, giving us your name, the place you are calling from, and then one question that you would like to ask myself, or a question that you might like to ask one of the many characters that are part of the John Lebang Show, part of the Banger universe. We're unsure who is going to stop in next week during the 250th episode to participate in the hour. I know I have confirmation that, that many of the characters will be at least calling in, at least giving us their 2 cents worth over the phone system. So with that being said, we want you out there to go ahead and make us a phone message stating your name, your location, and one question for the John Lebang Show. And those will be played on the air, and I will answer them as they are played. So there'll be no pre-recording of all this, no me taking the time to get the perfect answer written out and all scripted for you. I'm going to answer these off the cuff, and they're going to come in the order that we receive them, and it should provide for a pretty entertaining hour of broadcasting right here on the John Lebang Show. And you can make those videos and then send them to our email address. Send us a link to your YouTube video if you uploaded it up on YouTube, or at least give us a link if you uploaded it to your Facebook page. You can also just tag it or leave it in the comment section of our request for these on my Facebook page. If you're not a fan of the John Lebang Show on Facebook, if you haven't liked our page, then go ahead and do so at the John Lebang Show. Follow us on Twitter at John Lebang. And of course, you can find us on our 2 YouTube channels. One is the John Lebang Show, and the other one is Banger Incorporated. Also, you can do that at the website. Go to our website, www.jlebang.com, to send us those videos. So I guess we should hit some of the important subjects, the subjects that carry over from last hour, before we interject some new information, some new subjects into the fray. And first of which is a little bit more Hillary news, as the FBI is now giving Congress a bunch of information, a bunch of files on Hillary Clinton. And what is going to come of that, we don't know exactly, but I'm sure we're going to find out at least a little bit of it. And if anything is terribly wrong, I'm sure we're going to get a chance to see these things, maybe. You know, you never know with the FBI. You never know what Congress is going to do. They are doing everything they can to protect the swamp. At least the establishment types in the Republican leadership, as well as the Democrat leadership. We also see that the Saudi and Arabian government is arresting a whole bunch of people, including some princes, on corruption charges. I wonder if this is a bit of an aftermath of the Trump election, and he's applying power to the Saudis to clean out some of the corruption that is deeply embedded into their government. Let's not forget that the Saudi and Arabian government was definitely behind, at least financially, the 9/11 attacks. And we did nothing to them. Maybe Trump has taken it to him just a little bit. We just had Congress a year ago, maybe a year and a half ago, allow the citizens of the United States to go ahead and sue the Saudi government for damages from the 9/11 attacks. So maybe after all these years, things are starting to shake out, and we're going to find out that at very least the Saudi government, or parts of the Saudi government, were directly tied, not just financially tied, but directly tied to 9/11. And maybe the swamp is being cleaned out in Saudi Arabia. Either that, or they're just purging it because the leadership there is afraid of those people, and maybe there was a future coup. You never know in these third world countries. You don't even know here, because in some ways they're attempting a coup here in the United States through the media, with all this Russian this and Russian that. I think that's why Trump took off for 11 days and went to Asia. He just said, you know what, I had it. Let's plan an Asian trip, folks. We'll go hang out with the Japanese and the Chinese and the Filipinos and the South Koreans and whoever else we can conjure up to hang out with over the next 11 days, because we don't want to deal with the swamp that's here in the U.S. I mean, he's going there for diplomatic reasons. But it's not a bad thing to want to just leave the swamp. I mean, you can only stay there for so long before the stain stays on you and you start to reek from it. Speaking of Trump going to Asia. I mean, if he stops off in Japan, he can talk to that new artificially intelligent kid that is making he's making the headlines, folks. This little kid, and you can ask him questions, and they gave him citizenship in Japan because apparently there's too much radiation in Japan. And although they make great Godzilla movies, that's about all they can do. I think they like to live in fantasy world out there. Maybe reality's too much of a strain on them. And having artificially intelligent robots given citizenship is just, a normal thing to them. I mean, they did grant Godzilla to be the ambassador. So the tourism ambassador, 2 years ago? So we might have to question the sanity of the Japanese people at this point. They may be really great at all this technology and copying technology, but they might not be all up there when it comes to dealing with real world, and they might prefer to deal with the fantasy world a little bit. I mean, that's not that uncommon. There's a lot of people here that like to deal in the fantasy world as well. And they don't care if continuity is wrong in the fantasy world either. It's okay. We don't want continuity. Later on, we're going to give you a small spoiler-free, hopefully, review of Thor Ragnarok. I went and seen it on Thursday with my sister and my niece. And although my deep followers have probably watched the video I did on YouTube where it was a complete spoiler version of a review, I'm going to try to tame back the spoilers a little bit and give you a honest opinion of what I thought about the movie without delving too deep into the content of the movie and ruining anything for you who might want to go and see it. So stay tuned for that a little bit later. We also see that Facebook, and we might touch on that here in a little bit, but Facebook is secretly listening to your conversations. And we've touched on that quite a few times. Not just Facebook, but it's your phone that is doing it. Your phone, microphones on your laptops and on your computer, the video cameras that in the webcams that you have connected to your computer, all of them are picking up the background sounds. Even the little smart TVs out there are picking up these background sounds and they're being processed. And that's why when you talk about something with your friend at a restaurant like Olga's Kitchen in a shopping mall, and then you come home and you go on your Facebook page and there's an advertisement for something that you were talking about at Olga's Kitchen, appears there. That's why it appears. Because all that stuff is connected and all that background noise is now being recorded, transmitted, and used as data to mine you. They're trying to figure out who you are. Maybe they're building specific algorithms for each person out there. And they'll eventually be able to tell the future of every person by their behavior of today. And I'm not saying they're every event in their history and predict accurately every moment of their life, but they might be able to get a good idea of where you're going to end up down the road. That's right, ladies and gentlemen, that's the future of technology. And because everybody is so tied into these smartphones, and we want to be on these social media sites and use their video toys and their audio recording toys and use all these little gadgets that apparently make our lives simpler and easier. I mean, I know these have been out, these little towers that you can talk into, and they can assist you, and they're connected in